Hello and welcome to the Thought Leader Recruiter podcast. Today we're joined by Paula Ratliff, CEO of Women Impact Tech. Paula, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. Could you please share with our listeners more about your organisation?
Sure, that would be great. We started Women Impact Tech. I found a couple of amazing investors that had the same passion around mission of gender equity for women in technology. In 2021, we rebuilt the model to go to market, and we started the organization as a networking and events company, hosting events around the U.S. Focused on bringing great companies to the table that were passionate about belonging and diversity of their talent and ensuring that they could make an impact in gender equity within their tech departments. So we were a matchmaker, so to speak, to women with 5+ years experience. We had a recruiting team, Sam, that recruited specifically that caliber of women in technology because many of the organizations we spoke to felt like there were great companies supporting entry level girls in tech and women in tech that were just getting out of college. But there wasn't a direct focus by many organizations for women in leadership roles or women moving into leadership roles in tech. So my team really closed that gap, focusing very specific on women with 5+ years experience and a heavy emphasis on software engineers and more technical skills.
Amazing. That's such a good initiative, such a good community you obviously built there. What advice would you offer to companies aiming to recruit and retain more women in tech?
My goodness. Well, we started as a networking organization because companies were having a hard time tapping into that talent community. And I would say they really need to focus on either training their recruiters in diverse hiring. So there are certifications you can get. Most of our recruiters are certified in diversity hiring and really putting an emphasis in the areas where you need to hire. I've been in the industry for a long time, Sam. I saw that you have too. And, oftentimes, especially in tech, because there's such demand there, we settle for the best talent we can get through the door. And when we do that, most often that's going to be a male candidate versus a female candidate. But for organizations that truly want to mirror their consumer base, that diversification of your team in tech becomes critical so that you have diverse thinking in the product design or service design that you have in your organization. So we prioritize and go to companies, and believe it or not, we find that most companies will say it is a priority. Numbers don't lie. We know that the more profitable organizations have good, diverse talent. So, we encourage clients to focus with companies, either focus on their own recruiting or focus on companies that are focused on diverse talent. It didn't take long as a networking organization. We built a community of about 100,000 women in North America, the US, and Canada. And it didn't take long, Sam. Most of our clients were asking for us to do traditional staffing. So we started helping them ensure that for every open role they had women on the panel that were qualified for the roles so that they at least knew they were making a very concentrated effort to get diversification in their talent teams. And we started to expand. As you know, being in the UK, a lot of clients wanted that talent in other countries as well. And we've grown since 2022 into supporting almost every region in the US, so, or in the globe. So it's been great to go from just a US organization focused on this mission to supporting our clients across the globe, focusing on gender equity for tech.
Amazing. That's an incredible achievement. What are some common mistakes businesses make when attempting to attract new talent?
Yeah, I think they take the first best qualified candidate, because the talent is scarce, it's hard to find. And when they find that first candidate, they really are assertive to get them onboarded. And I think not slowing down and ensuring that you have diverse panel and diverse representation in that candidate mix, that's a mistake. The talent's out there. It's a little harder to find. I will tell you specifically for women in technology, most of the candidates are passive. They're working. They're already at an organization that they have a good job. Women in tech are interesting. They're not necessarily out there looking for more. They have a tendency with work-life balance responsibilities to settle and really devote to the company that they're with. So ensuring that you have a recruiter or a partner that's reaching out to those passive candidates that are already working and not looking in any way, shape, form, or fashion for their next opportunity, but have good intuition and great tech skills. That's the big mistake that we see a lot of organizations making, is just not being patient and not really aggressively going after diverse talent.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've heard that a lot as well. Also over in the UK, yeah, that
Yeah.
happens a lot. With rapid technology advancements, roles are evolving and some are becoming obsolete, as you know. Are businesses adapting quickly enough to build teams with modern skill sets?
We're getting a lot of requests for innovation for AI talent. There's not a ton of talent out there that's had great experience in the AI space because it came on so quickly. But we're finding a lot of our women that we work with, because they're strong and have great business acumen and intuition, they're doing really well in the AI space. So we're starting to see a lot of movement that way. We're also seeing women go into cyber security. We see that migration because oftentimes women are really amazing at attention to detail. So that has caused a lot of women to migrate into the cybersecurity space, which has been great for our clients that are looking to expand and build out their teams in the security space as well as AI. And those are two areas that we continue to see grow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I have a friend actually. She's gone from strength to strength in the cybersecurity space. Like she's now like a speaker. She goes all over the country speaking it. Yeah, it's amazing to see how far she's come. Really, yeah,
Yeah.
it's really great. And she speaks so well. And she's yeah really intelligent. So it's good to see her do well.
Absolutely. And the other thing, a lot of times, certainly here in the States, maybe not as much across the pond, but in the States, we see women going after roles with big tech organizations because that's just what they think of when they when they start advancing their career. And, I really push women to think out of the box because most companies today are tech companies. Even retail organizations pre-COVID now put so much emphasis in their tech departments because that's what's driving their revenue generation. Hospitality, the airline industry, and so many women are at the helm of consumers making the decisions in their home for buying decisions, making decisions when it comes to travel and hospitality, that I often tell our talent community those are areas where you have the upper hand because you already intuitively are very good at consumer decisions, at hospitality and travel. So a lot of times if I can convince women to go into industries where they probably have the upper hand and have been a consumer themselves on that side more than their male colleagues, their career can really flourish. So that's another thing that we find the talent makes the mistake of not really expanding their thoughts when they're looking at potential career journey opportunities for advancement and growth.
Absolutely. Yeah, let's talk about quite a popular debate at the moment regarding work from home to in office. What's your perspective on that?
Well, I have to share, I started and was in corporate America for about 22 years in the staffing industry, and I had a global role. Sam, I probably spent 18 years before it was cool after COVID to go remote or to be, a virtual employee. Most of my career journey, other than the very, very beginning, has been remote. And I'm a huge advocate of remote work and virtual work. And I'm probably a great example where you get a lot more out of your employees that really are passionate about working from home because we never turn it off. Like, we have an innovative idea, we hit the office. I mean, it doesn't really, it's not mandated by the time clock or, punching into an office. So my career journey has really always been, other than the very, very early beginnings, remote and virtual. So leading virtual teams is something I've done for 20 years. It comes very natural to me. I think most companies don't trust in their employees. And I think if you put the trust there and you give them the things that they need in a working environment, tools for collaboration, ongoing open communication. We're a big user of Slack so that we can constantly communicate not just through chat, but virtually on a dime, different than getting on the phone. I can remember many years ago, even when I was remote, that it was very common to be on my phone all day. Like I wore a headset all day long because I would answer the phone no matter where I was. Even walking, I would go take a walk break at lunch and I would still answer the phone when I was walking. But anymore, we're so used to being connected face to face through cameras and Zoom or Slack or whatever platform we're using. I rarely have a conversation about business anymore from my cell phone unless it's an absolute necessity and I'm in transit in my car or something. That's the only time I'm not face to face with staff or clients. And I actually quite enjoy that. I think that's more powerful than being in an office because now we can be face to face and collaborate with clients and colleagues and anybody at, the touch of a button, no
Yeah,
matter where they are in the globe.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I see the argument for both sides for sure, but yeah, it's like times have moved on now, and we have all this technology that you know, being in the office 5 days a week, 9 to 5, it's just not necessary no more. The hybrid model works well for a lot of people for sure. So yeah,
When you just think about how much time you lose in your commute,
yeah,
right? So just that drive to the office, drive back from the office, whether it's time that you're taking away from working hours on things you could be progressing in the work environment or your personal life, either way, there's strong arguments for that time can be utilized in such a more effective way if you're remote or virtual. And certainly, there's nothing like bringing your team together on a quarterly basis or a more regular basis. But I just think the day to day grind of that commute, I don't find it necessary anymore based on how much technology we have to collaborate and work together.
yeah. I still know people that commute from where I live in Portsmouth to London, which is an hour and 45 minutes, 2 hours on a train, tubes. It's like crazy, isn't it? Really, and the
Yeah.
cost as well of that. It doesn't make sense no more.
No, not at all. I mean, it is nice if you aren't in a car and you take the train, and you can work on the train, that works. But it's just shameful to think that that's some people's day to day. They're doing that commute and using that time in a working methodology anyway with their laptop open on the train.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. For individuals struggling to land interviews, what should they prioritize fixing first? Resumes, networking, or is there any other areas you can think of?
I think it's all the above. I know for women, particularly our community, we emphasize networking because women often don't prioritize networking like their male colleagues. Some of that is pressed upon them due to work life balance constraints. But making time to network, we know that's why women lag behind when they're laid off and landing the next job. Statistically, the numbers really speak loudly here in the US. Men often will land on their feet twice as fast as women, and it's because their network is stronger. So, network is absolutely essential, especially for women, creating a safe environment where you have a group of women that you can go to and promote when you need support to land that next opportunity. Absolutely critical. The other thing though is AI has made the job search so interesting with utilization of of the AI technology in the hiring process. So being very mindful of AI is using that companies are using AI, you almost have to customize almost every submittal of your resume, cover letter, everything you do to their job postings, which is tedious, not anything we've been used to doing up until AI became such a strong component of the hiring process because they use it for matching so much. So I will say that I have found through the AI technologies and how companies are using that, the resume process and submittal process is more tedious for a candidate. They need to use AI to ensure on their sides they're matching up to these jobs brilliantly because other job seekers are doing that. And if they're not taking the time, their resume will go to the bottom every single time, even if they're probably a highly qualified candidate. If they're not customizing and matching to exactly what the employer is looking for, it's going to hurt them.
Yeah. With CVs nowadays, I mean, they're still obviously very important, but the fact that you can probably get AI to write your CV is, yeah, there's something that you've got to watch out for sure.
Yeah. Well, and rewrite the CV every single time because they're using it and matching to, well, you can see it on LinkedIn. LinkedIn will tell you right away if you're a good fit. Do you have the skills they're asking for? And oftentimes you don't have this. Oftentimes I know the candidates have the skills, but they don't use those exact words, the exact verbiage. And so when that happens, it hurts them. So even LinkedIn will come up and say, you need these 5 skills they're missing. And the candidates are frantically going in for their top jobs and filling in the skills that they're looking for. I think that's going to continue to be a problem. That's why that network in a balance with the submittal of your CV is absolutely critical to the process. That's the other thing that's happening is you can have a resume written right through AI to match a job, but as you get further into that discussion, you recognize that the depth of their experience, they might have something to make them check the box, but the depth of that experience is often shallow.
Have you observed any recent hiring trends that candidates or businesses should pay attention to?
Well, the hiring in the US right now is very interesting due to our political environment. And I know just from people that I talk to on a regular basis, they've been watching the tariffs so closely to see what's going to happen with that. I just spoke to a very good friend of mine this morning that's on the job market. He's in the C-suite, so exceptionally qualified candidate in the market. He's been talking to lots of people, and it's interesting as soon as they feel there's a little breather in the tariffs, we see things start to move and the interview processes are progressing. So for us here in the States, I think the political climate is dictating companies' comfort in making hiring decisions and how quickly they're making those decisions. In other markets, I think they're concerned. They're watching globally the landscape to see what's happening and to try to find some level of economic comfort in what they foresee and project the landscape to be in making hiring decisions. So, it is all over the board. However, tech is one of those spaces that we see the work still has to be developed and progressed. So we haven't seen complete cutbacks in tech like we had seen previously when there was a significant layoffs to kind of right size the market post COVID. But so I see it growing, but not at the pace that we would have anticipated that to grow based on the layoffs we've seen for the last year and a half.
And final question, we did touch on AI, but what's your kind of view on how AI is kind of reshaping recruitment? Where do you think it's going to go? Are we going to see kind of avatars interviewing candidates, or yeah, how far is it going to go? Do you reckon?
You know, I have a lot of mixed feelings on this, and part of it is because of the unconscious bias that you often see that will creep in with AI through the hiring decisions. And being an advocate for gender equity in tech and really pushing for female candidates. I think without that layer of oversight from a human resource perspective, we run risks with AI to continually hire the same types of client or the same types of candidates because AI's learning says, well, this is a great candidate. They've hired it 3 times. So they start looking for that same candidate. And that's a risk in hiring when you need diverse thinking, diverse talent to put forth the best products and services to mirror your consumer community. So that's my biggest fear in the space. And right now, I am seeing a lot of oversight from HR and governance to ensure that diversity in the talent community is there and that they are ensuring they're not seeing gender bias or other types of bias in their candidates' advancement. Sam, I don't know how you train that out of AI. I think that's going to be hard. It is going to be a hurdle we have to cross in HR and recruiting. I love the efficiency. I love what the technologies can do for us. And I think it's great if we can continue to evolve AI in a way that helps to diminish those bias.
But Paula, thank you so much for today. I really appreciate your time and yeah, some great insights in this conversation. Where can our audience get in touch with you and find out a bit more about what you do?
Oh my gosh, we would love for them to visit our website, view.womenimpacttech.com. You know, some of the things that we can do to support clients and candidates is really these private events. We host private events across the country for our clients all over the world. So we would love to support both the clients and the candidates that if you're a client really are looking to change the landscape of your talent community, we can help you find diverse talents. And for candidates, you know, I would just say don't settle. If you don't have the opportunity for upward mobility in your organization and you really want to be in an organization where your career can thrive and not merely survive, please look into Women Impact Tech. We are partnered with companies that want to find opportunities for growth for our diverse talent communities.
Absolutely. Yeah, go check that out, everyone. And yeah, appreciate it. And this has been a Thought Leader Recruiter, and I'll catch you next time.